Okay, so it's 6 o'clock and we're going to call board meeting number 990 to order. I'd like to start by acknowledging that we are privileged to meet on the unceded and ancestral territories of the Squamish and St'át'imc nations. With that, we have an amended agenda recommendation.
That the amended agenda of this meeting be approved.
Thank you, Cynthia. A second for that. Thank you, Melissa. All those in favor? Okay, that's carried. With a couple sets of minutes there as well.
Sure. That the minutes of the board meeting held on January 15th, 2025 be adopted.
Thank you, Cynthia. Second for that. Thank you, Lisa. All those in favor? And that's good. One more.
And that the summary minutes of the in-camera board meeting held on January 15th, 2025 be adopted.
Thank you, Cynthia. And second for that. Thank you, Melissa. All those in favor? And that's carried. So that brings us to chairperson's remarks to our announcement section. Don't have too much to add from last meeting. We did do our professional development and we have our ed session on our budget. So that was good. And thank you, staff, Danielle, for preparing that work for us. We did have there was a board chairs call, in which case there was, and we talked a bit about this today, but there was some conversation behind the behind cybersecurity. And talk about the upcoming partner liaison meeting in the beginning of March. I think that might have been about it. Is there anything else that you know?
Coming up for us.
Were you on that board chair call? Because sometimes they're chair and soups. Right. So, okay. We have nothing to add to that. Yes. And yeah, I think that was about it so far. Any trustee remarks?
Yes, thank you to staff for the education session that was hosted last month, I guess. So thank you so much to staff for that.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, I don't see any other trustee remarks, so that will bring us to our superintendent's remarks.
All right, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I do have some exciting things to share. First of all, I want to share that this Friday is our district-wide professional learning day. So over 700 people, including staff, guests, and thank you to trustees attending as well. We'll be meeting together to learn more about traditional Indigenous perspectives, language, and culture, which is the focus of the day. And we're really grateful. And I want to extend our thanks to the work of the St'át'imc, my goodness, to the St'át'imc and Squamish nations in the planning of the day, which took place on their respective unceded and ancestral territories, on which I know we're all privileged to do our work. And out of respective place, staff who work in Whistler will be attending the workshops at Pemberton Secondary School, where the focus will be on St'át'imc knowledge and history. And staff who work in Squamish will be attending Don Ross Middle School with a focus on Squamish knowledge and ceremony. So very much looking forward to the day and then reporting out on everything that we learn. I'd also like to share that next week on February 19th, we'll be holding our partner and rights holder meeting around the budget. And so this is just to remind folks that the Board of Education follows the budget development process each school year in order to establish the final annual budget for submission to the ministry. And this process begins with providing opportunity for partners and rights holders to share input towards decision-making through a survey, and then to seek advice on aligning the budget with the education plan. So our next step will be to gather folks together with representatives from each partner and rights holder group, and then we'll further prioritize the input gathered through the survey and to ensure that any additional information that's gleaned from meetings between the member groups, so that we again can ensure that we're getting as many voices as possible around the table. I am really thrilled to announce that we had our first grad from Calicuum School. So that's the K-12 two-room schoolhouse that we operate on behalf of the Fraser Cascade School District at the bottom of Lillooet Lake.
They have 2 rooms there?
2 rooms. Yeah, 1 main room and then a breakout room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it feels like 1 room, but they do break out to 2 and they want to break up into smaller groups. So Raul was our first grad, and you please take a look at our website. We do like to just taking the time to provide a little bit of background for him and how thrilled we are for his success. And I understand that the local papers are also interested in publishing stories about the first grad from that community on the territory. So that's super exciting. I also want to point out that the Invictus Games are being held in Whistler in our school district from the 6th to the 16th. So I do want to welcome all the athletes participating in those events. And again, the Invictus Games are an international adaptive multi-sport event. It's been created to honor and support wounded, injured, or sick armed service personnel and veterans from around the world. And on Friday, I had the pleasure of attending a presentation from one of the athletes at Spring Creek Elementary School, where he shared all about his adaptive ski, as he is an amputee. And I just want to share how proud I was of the students being so respectful and engaged and asking a ton of questions, and just how gracious the veteran was to share his story and his excitement about being part of the games. Also, just going a little bit further from our own borders, just to remind everyone, and people can find more information on our website, that February is Black History Month, a time to celebrate the contributions and legacy of Black Canadians. And that this year's theme is Black Legacy and Leadership, celebrating Canadian history and uplifting future generations. So again, please take a look at our district website if you haven't already, and click on the link to learn more. And then finally, and if there are any students listening, the moment they've been waiting for, the friendly reminder that the Family Day long weekend is coming up, and that schools will be closed Monday, February 17th. So we want to wish everyone opportunities to share with family and chosen family, however way they see fit. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments? Seeing none, then Secretary Treasurer's remarks.
Thank you. I don't have really much today. Just wanted to mention, if there's any questions of clarification from the public, they can be emailed to the email address board@sd48.bc.ca, or we can also answer questions at the end of the meeting for public that are in person. Any agenda items should be related to, any questions should be related to agenda items from any of today's board meetings. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. So that brings us next to item 4, student and staff presentations. So Whistler Secondary School capstone presentation by Annalisa.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here this evening. Anthony Blakey, our vice principal at Whistler Secondary, sends his regrets. He is a few days behind in the cold. I've been sick and then passed along to him, and it's spreading like wildfire. So he's not able to attend this evening. So in mid-December, we held our first capstone presentation evening, and that was for our CLC 12 classes. So our grade 12 students who had an opportunity to have an evening where they invited family members or friends or community mentors to come and see their capstone presentations in a science fair type format. So we met in the evening for about 2.5 hours, where each student, we had about 70 students who presented. Those who were enrolled in CLC 12 in first semester were presenting. So about 70 students who presented. And it was a great evening. It's the first time we've done it that way. Previously, we had done it in classrooms where students would then share out amongst their class of 30, and they might have some grade 8s who come in and visit and watch the presentation. But this was a really wonderful opportunity to share with the community. And that's what felt a little bit different, to showcase all of the learning. Whether it was, well, we have a short video that we're going to share. But students did a variety of different things like learning a language, and then they shared their experience. Or some students, one girl with her father, she's a ballet dancer. And so she built a ballet bar and talked about that process of building that and getting the wood and creating the design and the time spent with her dad, and shared that experience. We had other students who were volunteer tutoring younger kids in the community. So they talked a bit about their business plan and their interaction with the students, and how that is they realize that that's maybe a bit of their niche. So they want to pursue education, like becoming a teacher. And so it was a really nice sort of low key opportunity to go around and talk to all of the students and showcase all the great things that they're doing. I want to thank our CLC 12 teachers, Lisa Smart, Claire Hanbury, Leslie Clements, Caroline Morris, for all of their work and leadership on this. And also Mr. Blakey for all of his work in working with that team to create such a positive evening. And thanking also our PAC for providing snacks. So it was quite a nice sort of social evening for everyone, and a nice way to connect outside of the regular, I was just at just came from the basketball game. And while those are great and fantastic to be at, it was nice a celebration of learning. It was kind of nice. And that was a little bit of a change. And so we look forward to our second semester students presenting in mid-April. We'll be doing a second capstone evening in April for those students as well. So.
Not so much a question, but a comment, but I was at the school learning plan when we heard about how this was sort of the evolution of the CLC program. And so it's really nice that you came to talk to us and sort of bookend that. And it sounds like the CLC program is really evolving, and it sounds like it was a super meaningful evening to the kids and to all the people who attended. So thank you so much for that. It's really nice to see the progress that's taking place in the CLC program. It's really inspiring, and I know it's a lot of hard work to keep moving things forward and to keep the kids so engaged. And it sounds like you've really done a good job of that.
Well, thanks. It's a great team of people.
The science
who put this together.
Yeah.
So thank you.
The science fair presentation formats. I like that. Nice. Lovely.
Thank you.
So not so much as a comment, but definitely.
So maybe for our guests, thank you so much for coming. We're going to project it on the screen behind you, so feel free to turn because no. You're welcome. You can sit. You can sit. So if you'd like to see it, feel free to.
Yeah,
for sure.
that's good. As if you don't have enough things to do, I'll remember. But if you haven't to remember.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll make a note.
I think you have to sound. Yeah.
My name is Leslie Clements, and I'm one of the CLE 12 teachers at Worcester Secondary. And yeah, today is been a really great opportunity to showcase all of the amazing capstone ideas that our grade 12s have done. I've taught CLE in the past, and this is a completely new take on the capstones. I was calling the capstone presentations kind of like the students' passion projects for this evening, and that's really what happened. So as you're touring through tonight, you could really feel the energy, the excitement, and the enthusiasm coming from students, and I think that really showed through in their learning, in their displays, and I've never seen this before. I think it's an amazing thing that we've started, and yeah, I hope it continues in the future.
Hi, my name is Miss Morris. I'm a CLC teacher. Tonight is so fantastic. It's the first time we've done it in this way, and I've really seen students dive into their passions. It's been phenomenal, like everything from making formal dresses, ballet bars, there's been people fixing their cars, there's been science experiments, and just a lot of motivation because it's things that students really want to learn more about, want to explore for their future. And I've been really honoured to be a part of that process and journey. There's been some challenges and struggles as well, and that's all part of it. And we made it here tonight in this beautiful celebration of learning, and it's just a joy to be here. I've taught a lot of these students from grade 8, and so I get tears in my eyes when I see the growth, and I'm excited to see what they do in the future.
Hi, I'm Lisa Smart. I'm one of the Career Life Connections teachers. Yeah, no, tonight this is the end of the night now. Really great turnout. Really proud of the kids, and I hope they feel proud of themselves. There's like a huge diversity of learning in this building, in this room, and I think a lot of the parents and the guests were really impressed, so I hope the kids feel good about it.
Tonight is fabulous. I've been watching the kids for like at least a month get ready for this night, and to actually see it come to fruition and all the cool things that they're doing and the activities, it just warms my heart. Super cool.
My name's Anthony Blakey. I'm the vice principal here at Worcester Secondary School, and I'm looking over the shoulder, and right now it looks like a great night. We really wanted to make this an evening for the community. We wanted to bring parents in and have them take a look at our amazing grads and all the work they've been doing. Our teachers have worked really hard to make these capstones memorable, and right now it's looking like a huge success, so we're thrilled about it.
My name is Diamond.
My name's Camille.
And we created a clothing business for a capstone.
My name's Kiara Felice, and I did a cover of Wildflower by Billie Eilish. I'm Esme, and I made a 3D model of my family future cabin. My name's Krista Kearns, and we created a dance to the song The Diner by Billie Eilish. My name is Angela, and my project is Learning to Develop. Hi, my name is Sky, and I did fashion in the courtroom. My name is Willa Aldrich, and I built a ballet bar for my capstone. Sophie, and my capstone project is Science at Spring Creek. Hey, I'm Edie. I wrote a book for my capstone. Hi, my name is Koa, and my project was fundraising for prom via Haunted House. My name is Marley. My project's on hairstyling. My name is Riley Loudon, and I built a trail for my capstone project. My name's Amisa Bear, and I did a clothing swap for my capstone. My name's Addie Ringette, and I also did a clothing swap for my capstone.
My name is Patrick, and my project is to build a bike.
Ryan Bedard. I was learning how to build my bike.
My name is
Keisha, and I made an RC track platform. My name is Jack Daddy. I'm Shane Andrew, and we did our project on genocide. I am Floyd Guy, and I made my project just on skiing.
Hi, my name is Erin, and I did my project on El Chapo, the Mexican drug cartel. Hello, my name's Deanne, and my project is learning how to play the violin.
My name's Jack McAllister, and I made ABS hockey nets. This hockey net. Hi, I'm Tan, and I fixed my car for my capstone.
Sam Kuzno, I'm making an athletic profile and recruitment video. I'm Travis Benz, and I built a set of Adirondack chairs.
I'm Cam Norman. This is Wizard Window Services. We are a high-end window cleaning business.
Hi, my name is John, and this is my capstone. It's about how to cook a Filipino traditional pancit.
My name is Jared Currizola, and my project is a model rocket that I launched. I'm Oliver Bay, and I've done a carpet cleaning business.
Hi, my name is Anna, and my project is on the concept of Kintsugi, and it is my art.
I'm Nate, and my capstone is an online auction fundraiser.
I'm Ben, and I did a research project on the housing crisis and solutions for it.
My name's Megan. I'm Addie. I'm Sarah, and we did the winter formal.
I'm Sam Mena, my project was learning how to fix my dirt. My name is Ivan Crompton, and I did a culinary stage.
Hi, I'm Indira, and I decided to take a story that I wrote when I was 9 years old, mark it, and then... my name is Dylan, and I am doing... My project is on copy editing.
I'm Sean, and I'm Isaac, and Project Moses. I'm Tao, and I was learning how to play hockey for my capstone.
I'm Free Achenbach, and I made a mixed media music video for my capstone.
Hi, my name is Brenton, and my project is Circuits.
My name's Matea, and I'm Abby, and we did a basketball camp for grade 6 and 7 girls.
My name's Alfie, and I built a mini wind turbine.
My name is Sophie, and I did mine about dance. I've been dancing at Mountain Movement Dance for 7 years, and I built this ballet bar with my dad out of cast iron metal. This is Emma, and I made my prom dress for my capstone.
I'm Josh. I'm Simon, and we built our wiffle ball course.
I'm Wyatt.
My name's Kaito. So, there's a strong basketball community in Whistler, so we decided to run a 3-on-3 basketball tournament.
Hi, my name's Elliot Carmel, and my capstone is thermite, metal oxide, and aluminum dust. Come here, come here.
My name's Cole Wilson, and I built a circuit called Spectra Photometer.
Hello, my name is Grayson, and my project is vehicle detail.
Hi, my name's Neve, and for my capstone project, I tutored a few students every week who have certain learning challenges, and this is like a demonstration of their growth.
My name is Christian Galve, and I'm in an architectural skill model of a house.
Hi, I'm Aiden Thornhill, and my capstone is creating a business.
I am Tristan Easy Tripanese. I, for my capstone, wrote a science fiction novel with the working title Apparatchik.
Lisa, that's absolutely fantastic.
Good.
And what the whole spectrum of.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, there was a great range in what they
What they were
chose.
doing, like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, from learning languages to all sorts of different things. So thank you. Thank you for letting us present.
Thanks. Anyone have anything they want to add? Celeste?
I have a question, but also a comment first. I think by the time you get to grade 12, parents can feel so disconnected from school. So it's such a great way to pull families back in and celebrate the work that their kids are doing, especially, being able to come after school. Thank you for staying late so that the families could come and check out the work that the kids are doing. So the one question I had is, how did you come to decide that this was the way you're going to do it? And I'm so very curious what the next cohort, now that, because some of those kids have probably seen what these kids did. So their energy, the energy that they bring to it is maybe going to be even greater. But how did you get to deciding that you were going to do it this way?
Yeah, so it was really, it was our CLC teachers who wanted to have an authentic audience for their students' presentations. And we've been talking a lot, I guess, post-COVID, about getting people back into the building. That's sort of been a goal, and we try and do that through grade 7 nights and grade 12 nights and information, that sort of, those are always information sessions where we're presenting, which although is good, I suppose it's nice to have students be the draw for parents to come into the building. And so it was really very much the CLC 12 teachers. I know Lisa Smart was talking about wanting to have that authentic viewers, authentic audience for the students. And that's what motivated it. And we come from different schools, all of us, and we have different experiences with running different events like this. And that's where we sort of then landed on this evening. We wanted to do it in the evening, late enough, hopefully, that a lot of families would be off of work and would be able to attend. That was something else. We didn't want to just do it right after school, so we did it later to try and capture as many families as possible and make it more accessible that way. But it was very much the teachers who wanted to do it that way. And I think as far as the energy, I think that the second group, the second cohort of students are looking forward to it now. They have sort of, these students are running around sort of not last minute, but there was a bit of discomfort. You're used to, presenting to your peers is one thing. And now you're really quite sort of accountable. Your parents are coming, or your aunt or uncle or somebody else is coming. So there was a little bit of sitting up a little straighter and being ready and organized for that 5:30 start when we started. And so that was a good learning experience for them as well. And they were exhausted by the end of the evening, which was great from chatting about all of the things that they had done. So
and then they know they can do hard things.
Yes, absolutely. And lots of positive feedback for them. So I think that was the next group is looking forward to it.
Melissa had her hand through.
I just want to say I love this idea because when we were in grade 4, we did the science fairs and our parents would come and there'd be rockets and there'd be tornadoes and all the things that.
So volcanoes, there had to be volcanoes.
Tornadoes anyway. So it's really fun to see those kids have presentations like that, and you can see that for the most part they're like really excited about what they've done, and I love how that comes through. And I'd really like to send an email to Tanya. She's our CLC in Pemberton.
Yes,
and be like, yes.
Well, I was going to ask, are you sharing it with the other schools now?
So if you're okay with that,
she was there that evening, so they're already in cahoots with one another. Like there's been lots of cross-pollinating. Tanya Richmond was there that evening. And so she's
hear that. So it's already a bug in her ear. So I will be an extra bug.
Perfect. Yeah. She's been collaborating with our counselors who happen to be our CLC teacher, or two of them happen to be. So yes, they've been chatting a lot about it. So
I love it.
Good.
Thank you.
Nice. Thanks.
Can you please present with the next group so we can see what they do too?
Okay.
Actually, if you could send us a link, but like if you do a similar video.
Okay.
That can be shared with us. It's so great to see.
Will do, will do.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Cynthia, you had some?
Yeah, just a quick question. It was in the evening.
Yes.
Were the younger students able to come and see it at any time?
There were a handful of younger students, and that's one of the things when we did our debrief after this, at the end, a week or so later, that was one of the things we were going to maybe change up for the second semester group, is have a quick, have a bit of a setup during the day so that the other students can see some of the projects. It would also give those students a bit of a dry run.
Yeah.
And then they could also, of course, come later that evening, but that was one of the things that we decided
Yeah,
to change up the second
perfect.
semester. So thank you
Yeah.
for that
Yeah,
question.
I think it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was a
and get
feel
the-
good
get the
evening.
Younger kids like excited
Yeah,
to have their turn to do their project.
yeah, yeah. Well, thank you.
That's great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
That looks like that's probably it, so.
Okay.
You are welcome to stay if you would like. But you can also run.
Okay. I will walk slowly. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate that.
Annalisa.
Thank
Always
you.
good to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
And
Jill, if you're more
Sorry.
comfortable, you're welcome. to
Yeah,
sit.
so-
Yeah, maybe a bit easier.
and if I may, and you're welcome to look to the screen, but if you'd rather, you have it on your computer?
I do, yeah.
Okay, great, because just so it's easy, whatever's easier for you. Yes.
Yeah, I think that works, yeah.
It's easier.
So we have a receiving delegation. We have with us Jill Brooksbank. Come talk about policy 804, animals on school district property. Jill, did you want to introduce yourself or?
Sure. You did a great job of
You're a parent.
I am. I'm a parent of Lillian, who is a grade 6 student at Signal Hill Elementary. And I just want to just acknowledge that CLC work and the students. And I feel like, guys, we are in good hands. Our future is okay. That was really inspiring. So I just wanted to take a moment. I wish I was able to say that when I missed her name. I'm sorry, but it was, yeah, pretty special.
Principal at Whistler Secondary.
Oh, is she? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I've probably emailed her a bunch of times through my time job. So anyway, that was very, very special. So but yeah, I want to thank the board and the chair for having me here speak tonight regarding the animals on school property policy. And then just for the benefit of the public, I'm here to speak specifically regarding the critical role dogs have as a disability accommodation. And how the policy as it stands is a barrier to my daughter's education currently. And I did want to note also for the public that the board has received some in-depth personal private information about my daughter, which I won't be sharing publicly, but I just ask that the board keep that in mind as I move through my presentation this evening. So thank you again for having me. And next slide, please. So I thought it might be beneficial just to quickly give an overview of the three sort of definitions of support dogs. So there's a service animal, which is individually trained to assist a person in relation to a specific disability. So for example, it could be a dog that alerts someone about their blood sugar levels, protect a person suffering from epilepsy, from a seizure, or falling as a result of an injury, or injuries falling as a result of a seizure, or to calm a person on the autistic spectrum. Therapy dogs provide help to people at the community level through animal-assisted activities and animal-assisted therapy. So that means that basically dogs are trained with healthcare professionals or school counselors to help students to cope with stress of attending school,
or undertaking specific tasks at their school. And oftentimes, like an organization like St. John's Ambulance will provide that training, or there's another organization in Vancouver called Eco Village as well that provides that training. And then finally, an emotional support animal provides emotional support to individuals with a mental health condition. And they're generally not trained specifically for this task, but their presence provides comfort and support and confidence as well. So basically, to touch sort of very briefly on sort of the barriers or the gaps of each of these three sort of support dogs is for service dogs specifically, accessibility is very limited. For example, the BC and Alberta Guide Dog Association, they will only provide dogs to kids between the ages of 3 and 8 years old. The wait time is typically 2 years, and they can be very costly. Basically, they start at about $25,000 and upwards. Sometimes you can get grants for it. Sometimes you have to pay out of pocket. But I would say probably the biggest barrier is the wait list. And they usually start at about 2 years. And that's just because, you know, they purchase the puppy and then the training is very, very extensive as well. So that's the sort of one challenge we've come across with service dogs. Therapy dogs have some training and they perform support more at a community level. So for example, you know, that a dog may like come and visit a school several times a week, or maybe go to the hospital to help you know, people recovering from knee surgery, or even help the elderly. And this is sort of a scenario that most closely mirrors the support that Lillian is benefiting at Signal Hill, although it is outside the current policy. And then emotional support dogs, they can be prescribed by a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but they don't have any specific training and they don't have their permission to like go wherever they want to. So for example, oftentimes, you know, it's up to like the business if they want to let the dog come in. And I mean, really, it really doesn't give the person with the disability a lot of autonomy when people are saying, oh, show me your papers before you can come in with your dog. So it's definitely, it's trickier with an emotional support dog. We do have a family dog who does act as Lillian's emotional support dog, who is wonderful, has wonderful temperament at home. He will come to her when she's upset. He knows exactly what to do in the instances of bedtime where like he has to go to bed with her to keep her calm so she can fall asleep. But as soon as he's out of the house, it's like party time. And he's a gentle, wonderful dog, but he's just really easily excitable. And so not the ideal therapy dog. So this is why we have not pursued that for our own, the therapy dog route for our own animal. So in summary, we are challenged with providing Lillian with the accessibility or the ability to have a support dog at school because we're not eligible or have the finances to purchase a service dog. We don't have access to therapy dogs in or near Pemberton. And then emotional support dogs are not considered within the policy as it stands. For Lillian, the presence of a dog is critical to her ability to function normally on a daily basis. Dogs provide emotional support and comfort that helps Lillian manage her disabilities and anxieties that put her in a place that she can look outward towards other demands. And to sort of articulate a little bit more, when we talk about demands specifically to Lillian, she has something called PDA, which is pathological demand avoidance. And what that means is demands can trigger a nervous system response and everything shuts down. And so I think the reason I'm sort of flagging this for the board here is because when we say demands, no one likes to have demands put upon them, but for a PDA kid, it's like 1,000-fold. And they either fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, which is not ideal. So with, you know, having an animal with Lillian, the dog definitely helps co-regulate her and helps her cope with the demands of school, because that is what school is for her, it's a series of demands. I wanted to sort of touch on the benefits. I'm sure this group here is very familiar with sort of the benefits of, you know, having an emotional support animal. It supports student emotional and social development. It basically provides connection and companionship without judgment, builds confidence and trust, and reducing isolation. In the case of Lillian, this is particularly crucial. And I think it's, you know, to add to that, it is particularly crucial at this age too. Like social circles become complicated, relationships become complicated and fluid, and sometimes, you know, they just don't have the understanding of why that is. Cognitive supports help to improve focus and attention, especially when learning something really challenging. For Lillian, because she has those 3 learning disabilities, learning can be extremely intimidating and frustrating. And then in the case of Lillian, just simply put, it gets her to school. And I think, like, it, you know, I do want to sort of emphasize the fact that while I am here advocating for Lillian, there are a lot of other students that experience these same benefits. And there's probably a lot of kids that have experienced benefits that may not even be diagnosed with anything. And it just provides some comfort at school. But of course, we can't talk about the benefits without talking about the challenges. You know, working in local government, I get that there's 2 sides to the coin that we always have to like consider. We have to think about those liabilities. We have to think about those risks and how to mitigate them. So, you know, certainly with having a dog in the classroom, there's things like temperament that we need to think about, sanitation and cleanliness, you know, the fear of dogs, and that could be other students, that could be teachers, it could be staff. And then of course there's the liability issue, which, you know, is present as well.
And allergies.
And allergies, absolutely.
The big one for me, so.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I thought, like, maybe we could take this opportunity to look at other inclusivity and accessibility tools and how those challenges have been overcome. So for example, if we look at the wheelchair ramp, and it's a common and critical tool for folks to access buildings, but they can also pose several liabilities and hazards. Next slide, please. Sorry, I keep getting to say that.
She caught up to you.
You're on it.
She's our mind reader.
Thank goodness. So the wheelchair ramp presents the hazards of like tripping for pedestrians. The grade could pose a slip and fall hazard. They could roll off the side. Winter maintenance needs need to be thought about and budgeted for. Next slide, please. But if we recognize that the ramp promotes autonomy and inclusivity and access to buildings, accessibility consultants, building officials, and professionals then convened and determined the best way to mitigate those hazards and liabilities. Next slide, please. And they did that through, you know, putting barriers along the side of the ramp, as you can see here, handrails, traction pads, non-slip surfaces, minimizing the ramp slope, and then demarcating the landing so no one trips on that. So the ramp is, I know, a very simplistic example of how we can provide a disability accommodation. So it can be safe for those who absolutely require it and those who need to interact with it. And I absolutely wholeheartedly recognize having dogs as a disability accommodation in schools is very, very complex, but it's not insurmountable. Next slide, please. So my request to the board is if we could just take a moment and pause any amendments that are being considered of the dog policy, and to work with partners in the community to inform an inclusive policy that reflects the unique needs and situations of students with mental and cognitive disabilities, provide equitable access to learning education, policy that reflects the value of support animals and a policy that acknowledges and accommodates limited disability resources such as therapy dogs within the rural communities of School District 48. Next slide, please. And of course, also being in local government, my biggest pet peeve is people coming to say, this is the problem, but I'm not going to give you any suggestions. So I did, quickly throw down some thoughts on possible ways forward. And that could be identifying teachers or people within the communities with dogs who would be willing to have their dogs trained as therapy dogs. And of course, that does not come without a price tag or a time commitment. So perhaps we could work with PACs and volunteers in the school district to secure funding through grants. Research how other organizations and school districts in Canada and internationally embed dogs into school supports. And initiate a focused working group with those who would be directly and indirectly affected by the policy to hear diverse voices on the benefits and challenges of dogs in the schools, receive input from parents, teachers, mental health experts, dog trainers, legal staff, and students on how having dogs in the school could impact them, and also to seek ways to mitigate liabilities and address concerns. Next slide. And then as I close, as the world's attention turns to BC and our communities during the Invictus Games, let's harness the powerful spirit and inspiration of these games to drive change. Together, we can create schools and communities that are not only inclusive and equitable, but also empowering for individuals with both visible and invisible disabilities. Let's build a future where all students can attend and even thrive at school. Lillian and I thank you for your time considering how to make School District 48 more inclusive. Thank you very much. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
So, does anyone have any questions or comments? I think before anyone jumps in, I'll just let you know the process. And I think somebody ran you through it. So generally we'll hear the presentation and then we'll ask staff for any additional information we require and then we'll respond at a later date. But there may be some questions for clarification.
Yeah, if there are
from other
other two, but
trustees.
yes, I understand.
Thank you. If anyone has anything. Celeste?
So thank you so much for coming and being so well prepared. That was a really great presentation and doing this is super hard. So yeah, thank you. We don't often get people presenting. And so I really, really appreciate it. Advocacy is such an important part of creating vibrant communities. I was curious. So one of the things that you said to us was to please put a pause on changes to the policy. So I just want to make sure that you understand sort of the history of events that has happened over the past few months, and that changes to the policy have already been made. You must, clearly, because that's why you're here. So the policy has been revised recently. What we do, and perhaps Chris can explain this in greater detail, but we review our policies on a schedule. So every few years, each policy will be reviewed. But in making the changes that we recently made, we made a conscious decision to come back to this policy. Is it in June of this year?
We did. That said, the board can, once we
Can review it at any time.
Because of this, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And the reason why the policy was changed in the first place is because a child was bit in a school by a dog. I just want to make sure that you understand the history as to why we came to the place that we're at today. And I'm saying this, I have been through the hell of school refusal with one of my children. So I totally understand how lived it for years. It was awful. But we came to this decision to revise the policy in the first place, not because we don't want to support children, but because we had to make the difficult decision about how to protect everybody. So I think we're open to hearing, but I just want to make sure that you knew that that was why any of this happened in the first place. It was quite serious.
Yeah, and I'm sad to hear that, and I completely understand the need to certainly, act upon that because, yeah, that's awful. That's absolutely awful. And I think, you know, part of the reason, and, you know, I sort of use, and again, it's a very simplistic example of like, there's always going to be risks and liability with many accommodations. So how can we protect those people who are scared of dogs? Or like, how do we make sure that we don't have reactive dogs in the school to, you know, like it just like, and there's a way. I don't have the answers for you now. I'm quite happy to be a part of whatever discussion that is. But I think that there's a way that we can mitigate those liabilities, protect kids that, you know, from being bitten, or have instances where, you know, maybe there's like a separate space for students and dogs to be in, where, you know, someone's not being impacted by allergies or their fear of dogs and not impacting their learning. They're like, I think that there is absolutely a way to have an inclusive space for everybody. It just takes a couple of creative and inspired minds around a table to brainstorm. And like I said, I'm very happy to be a part of that and make that happen for not only my daughter, but many of the other students that benefit.
Anyone else? Melissa?
I just want to thank you so much for being here and being an advocate for the land and all the children who do benefit from having dogs in their lives. And I think that this conversation needs to keep going with it in mind that we do have to keep the kids number one priority, their safety, and those with allergies and who are afraid of dogs. And thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, Celeste?
The one thing that I'll add is, so the criteria to bring animals or dogs onto school district property before was very broad. And now it has shrunk. And we did, I don't know if you happened to watch any of the debate that we had on this topic.
I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, no, fair. I get it. It's all recorded, so we did discuss much of this as well. So the question that I have, and it will not be answered today, but if the criteria would change, you know, you gave 3 categories of different types of animal, and the middle one, like what criteria exists to get that designation? Is it super broad? Like it has to be something that's not so easy that it can be abused, but not so narrow that it's impossible.
Yeah, I think I would say, from my perspective, really appreciate the presentation. Yeah, see, and the current barriers you pointed out are things the board has wrestled with in terms of. Oh, sorry, it's not on. Oh gosh. Thank you. So I would maybe just reiterate again, just thanking you for the presentation. Very clearly laid out, and appreciate the advocacy, and was just sharing for the sake of the board members who missed what I was saying before, that the board, yeah, did wrestle with liability, did wrestle with legal requirements. And so we tried to, the board attempted to make the amended policy as open as possible to provide for those avenues. And then again, you know, you did a great job explaining some of the barriers, because while there are opportunities or access points through organizations that have the accredited types of dogs available that make our lawyers happy, the 2-year waiting list, the cost, the folks to do the training, et cetera, are definitely obstacles, especially in rural and remote communities. And so I think one thing I'm sure I can say, and I'm sure the board will ask me to, is, you know, to seek further legal advice as well, to see if there's a way forward. Because at the end of the day, and I appreciate these are the difficult work of the board, it's that liability piece that is probably the number one thing. I think we would all want to provide whatever we can to children to help them access an education, and at the same time ensuring that the board is protecting the assets of the board if there's a situation we could have been, and the kids, there could have been a horrible injury. Yes.
The
I was gonna get to that point, that really it's that safety piece, so, you know, I hear what you're saying as a former inclusion person, as you know, so, you know, I'm happy, I don't think I need the board direction. I'm happy to pursue this further, with the legal advice to see if there's a way that will satisfy, and there'll be the board to determine, okay, I think based on this reputation, we can either go in this direction or we can't, and here's why. So we'll just need a little bit of time to do that, but I also would say the board will be holding to the current policy as is. And because we don't have the safety questions answered, I would just say, I don't think we can put a pause on policy. That's puts us in very precarious.
Yes, definitely understood for sure. I'm just wondering, as far as like the liability piece, do staff typically sort of come up with some suggestions and like temperature check that with the it's not an emergency, but you're like the legal team, or how does that work? How does the process work with the lawyers?
Yeah, we have a very close, good relationship with our legal team, and we provide all the information that they need. They do, you know, their reviews of current legislation, and will provide often boards with, you know, the threshold of risk they're comfortable with, and then they just give advice, and then the board will make a decision. So we're getting back to you.
Yeah, okay. I'm hopeful in the meantime, like the process of changing, we would come reverse a policy today. The process
Oh, I understood.
Changing policy takes time. So in the meantime, I'm sure that this is happening, but my hope is that Lillian's receiving alternative supports in the time being, regardless, because this is what we have today. We had to respond, and now, you know, of course, like feedback from any member of the public and parent or staff member is obviously going to be taken into consideration. And the plan was to review the policy on a shorter timeline than we would anyway. We anticipated that we'd have to work through things, but in the meantime, she would take
I know Krista and the team at Signal Hill are doing their best.
Yes,
and
they're
trying
doing
to-
absolutely,
yeah, okay.
just within the tools that they have, we're very, very fortunate in Humberton to have an incredible support staff there. I can't say enough about it, so it's great, yeah, they're wonderful people.
Thank you for making the drive down. I know how important this is.
What dog did you have at school? You said your dog wasn't, right?
No, Oreo was not, but
I was just curious.
I think, I think that there were like different animals that like several teachers had in the school that she could sort of like hang out with.
But I believe that Lulu, right? The learning support teacher's dog has been the main one.
No, well, her main teacher's dog, Mango, was
Mango, no,
Yeah.
Mango, that's right.
was
Mango, Lulu,
Mango's
you
so
know,
beautiful.
it's fun names.
Yeah, yeah.
Mango.
But pretty much any animal that was in the school, Lillian like had her spidey dog sense and was like, well, and would spend time with them. And oftentimes, like in Lillian's case, it would be just sitting at the back of the classroom with Mango on the floor. She'd be beside Mango, and then taking in the lesson from there.
Right.
Yeah.
I would be really interested to see what the cost of having a dog trained as a therapy dog would be. We have an excellent trainer in Pemberton. We have an excellent pack that I'm sure would get behind this. I would be really interested to see if that's something that you want to reach out to Karen Walker maybe and see if that's something that she specializes in.
Yeah, for sure. I'd be happy to do that. And if it's helpful to do, you know, a similar presentation with the pack, I'd be happy to as well.
I think to start. It just randomly came on.
Came on.
I see. Yeah, lost my train of thought.
Karen Walker, therapy dog,
Yeah.
training, cost, pack, money.
No. First steps would be for us to find out if there's a way around, like, believe me, we discussed this, we know the benefits. And we try to every which way and you know, at the end of the day, we need to protect the district as well from liability, and that was a big piece. And also, you know, we need to look at, okay, well, which schools get to have dogs and how many and all those pieces, because it was loose, our policy was loose, as Celeste mentioned, and there were multiple dogs in the school, mostly with teachers. And in fact, and this is what got us into trouble and whatnot as well. So, but do you know, and this is something that Pemberton and Darcy might need to think about, can you buy liability insurance for your dog?
Great question. I do not know the answer to that.
Like we carried it on a car, so, you know.
It's true. Yeah.
I'm just curious.
I mean, if you can get insurance for a pet, like if
You can get medical
insure
insurance,
themselves.
yeah.
I don't know. That's a really good.
So that's why, the accredited dogs that, you know, that are under.
They
the
do get it,
They
yeah.
they come with liability insurance, which is
Right.
why then it's no problem if you have a hearing impaired or a seeing eye dog to support folks. They come with their own insurance.
I'm
when
not sure
they're-
about therapy dog.
I'm not sure either.
No, but I'm just wondering if
That's
there's an
something to look into.
independent carrier that would do something like that. Just a curiosity. So, you had your hand up? Cynthia?
Yeah, I was curious because our policy is animals on school property, and we're talking specifically about dogs. You are the expert in this situation, I feel, much so more so than I. And I'm wondering if there were other animals that might pose less of a liability risk. Do they provide the same kind of comfort to students who generally would get comfort from a dog?
A dog, yeah.
Like, can you substitute a hamster for a dog? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I would say that it's very individual. In Lillian's case, I would say, like, I would be very confident in saying no. But I have, like, in my research, I have seen that schools have had like emotional support rabbits or emotional support guinea pigs or even lizards or even fish for that matter. So certainly like other animals can definitely benefit. But in Lillian's case specifically, I'd say no.
Okay, so individual to the student, but
I would say so, yeah.
but perhaps
But the policy covers animals.
I know, but if
So-
we were able to make an adjustment, could we provide a therapy animal that poses less of a risk? And advantages, at least some of the population that was getting some.
To me, if we're making an exemption, we make an exemption that covers all animals.
I'm trying really hard.
I know. You do. So, and also those other ones, my kids have in 4-H and they bite.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say, is I've been bit by many more hamsters than
Guinea
dogs.
pigs and-
Not example.
Yeah,
Rabbits.
yeah, chickens.
Most
But yeah,
districts
chickens
are
are-
restricted just to dogs, not no other animal unless it's a class pet, you know, that
Yeah.
you take care of. So for that piece, and that's where most districts are going, are being very strict to restrict it to dogs and just dogs under those specific categories. Because they carry their own liability. But again, as I mentioned, I am happy to go back to if the board wishes, right, to go back to our legal team and share and just say, what is some adaptation or wording or amendment we can do to policy procedures to follow that would satisfy the legal and the board. But I don't want to promise anything. I know it's very dangerous,
I understand.
but I really appreciate, again, the presentation.
And just to reiterate, it's not just bites, it's also allergies were a huge consideration in this as well.
It's also the idea, but real quick, if there's an emergency that happens at the school, right? A fire, an incident, a loud noise, will the dog, right, or whatever animal be expected to react in a positive way rather than cause more harm and concern and potential danger. But I'm happy to do more work and bring it
Well-
back and call it rather as
I
in
think,
a timely manner. So it's not, we're not waiting until June.
yeah, I think that we know our direction. We're supposed to be just getting some clarification and not debating.
Something that's really close to our hearts.
Yeah, this has been a struggle for years. So, thank you very much for driving down and, I assume you're in coverage.
Yes.
Okay. And, taking the time out, and we will definitely get back to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, and you are most welcome to stay. It is a public meeting. Oh. Recyclable batteries, rechargeable batteries.
Yeah.
That's an awful lot.
It's a lot of batteries.
Or can we get like chargeable? I guess that's pretty.
That's what I was just asking, maybe we should have. Okay. Give me 1 second. Cannot find my committee of the whole. Yeah, you committee of the whole. Andy?
I just want to be
Yeah.
clear on like what's happening next.
With the dog just.
Yeah, like if we could put a bow on what the next steps are gonna be so that we're all on the same page.
Are you able to?
Yeah, my understanding is.
You're gonna be taking it back to legal to see if there's an avenue to.
Mhm.
You need flexibility somehow to
Do you need
allow.
a motion to do that or?
No, I don't believe so, because this isn't a policy debate at this point in time or a motion. It's just a response to a presentation. I'm happy to take a motion, obviously, if we'd like to capture it, but.
Information and discussion.
Because historically, we receive a delegation, we listen, we ask for questions of clarification. And then we do some work in the background and respond. It can come back to us before that response goes out, unless. I guess unless there's nothing we can do. Or something, I don't know.
Yeah, no, my intention would be to share it through the chair, to share with the rest of the board, and if it means, we were able to come back to have a discussion and a potential amendment one way or the other, then I think I would recommend that at that time. And should be able to get this, again, I don't want to promise a timeline, but before the next board meeting, certainly.
What would be proposed accommodation?
It would be around more specificity for because what was shared was that we'll be unable to find an accredited dog because there's a 2-year wait. It's under what conditions? Again, I don't want to speak for the lawyer, but it might be it could be, again, the dog handler does an assessment of Mango and determines temperament, calmness training that might mitigate liability. That might be what the lawyer.
Would it
comes
be
back
just
with. I don't-
one dog or all of the dogs?
This would certainly have to be
District wide.
Well, it'd be, but case
In
by
a way.
case,
Yeah.
district wide, but case by case,
Yeah.
because respectfully to any staff listening, this isn't about bringing back household pets.
Well,
It would have to be under very specific conditions where they would say a diagnosed disability, the note from the care team saying they would benefit from.
But then whose
And so on
dog?
and
Is
so
it the
on.
teacher's dog?
That-
And then
that-
whose
exactly.
who gets to bring?
That's
the
right.
dog?
Again, you said case
So
by
those
case.
are the
so-
specifics that we will have to get spelled out for us by legal and then brought forward to the board to discuss, are they satisfied or not? And what's the level, again, it's back to threshold of risk for the board.
So it's clear you got our next steps for now?
I think it's really tricky, but yeah.
Yeah, it is. I do too, but I'm willing to do the work.
But we take new information
Yeah,
from
for
our stakeholders and provide them with an answer. So that's what we'll be doing.
I just want to make sure that we understand what the request even is, right? Like, is it for all of the dogs that the child is benefiting from? Is it for one of the dogs? Like, what exactly is the resolution that we are working towards?
Yeah, so again, I think, again, respectfully to the presenter, to the delegation, regardless of whether it's a blanket for everyone or just a specific case for their particular child. I would just expect legal to put some pretty narrow bands around this, and if at all, it would be case by case, specific to a need by a child or a staff member under these conditions. So I don't think this would be a blanket.
But it would have to be accessible to anybody that met that criteria.
Yes.
Whatever the criteria
Yes.
is.
Agreed.
We're responding to her ask, but any changes we make will respond for the whole
Will
entire
apply to
district.
anybody.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So it can't be so broad that suddenly there's hundreds of dogs.
exactly.
Exactly.
I don't think we put ourselves in that position again. I think there are.
We just got ourselves out of that
Yeah.
position.
Yeah,
That's right.
So, which she understands.
yeah.
So are we good to move on?
Okay.
So next up is committees. The first one is, where am I? Committee of the Whole. So the Committee of the Whole met earlier today. It is an open meeting and will be available on our website if anyone is interested. A couple of items that we addressed would be our trustee calendar and upcoming events for the next few months. We talked about we got a motion that you'll hear coming up, and we talked about some additional ed sessions. Indigenous focus for this one, and we have not settled on what we are looking at. And then we had also come up a potential of changing our meeting times. And it was for information today and for our thoughts, and we'll be revisiting in the next month or two. And with that, there's a recommendation.
Have the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting held on January 15th, 2025 be accepted.
Thank you, Melissa. Is there a second to that? Thank you, Lisa. All those in favor? And carried. And policy committee, same thing. We reviewed a couple of policies, but we'll be seeing them further on in this agenda. The meeting was recorded again for your review. And with that, there's a recommendation.
That the minutes of the policy committee meeting held on January 15th, 2025 be adopted.
Thank you, Cynthia. Second for that. Melissa. All those in favor? Okay, carried. Finance committee. We met earlier. We reviewed our financial statements to date with some of the updates. And do you want to add anything?
We went over the budget, amended budget.
Yes, the budget is what I meant to say. So we went through the amended budget. And again, it was an open meeting and recorded. So if you would like to have a look at those, you can access them on our website. This is for the public's interest. And we don't have any minutes to accept for that. PR committee, did you meet today?
We haven't met since the last.
Okay, so we don't have anything there. This brings us to our general section. We do not have any business arising. So we can move to information items. First up is implementation day and Mr. Lorette.
Okay, so I don't think I need to actually say too much because basically in your opening remarks, Chris, you kind of covered it all. Which is fine. It's all great.
It'll be a great day.
We just want to make sure everyone knows about the days and what's happening. And so that's been communicated. So I don't need to say that all again. We can just go to the next item, which is also.
Yeah, it's yours as well. So Howe Sound Secondary.
Yeah, so I know that the board is already aware of this, and I just for the information of the public want to just let everybody know that we are experiencing some enrollment pressures at Howe Sound in terms of our projections for next year. So staff do have a plan to meet with staff at Howe Sound to start talking about some of the options that we have in mind to help manage the projected increase in enrollment that will be coming up. So we'll be planning to do that in the coming week or so. That's it.
Okay. Are there any questions? Service alignment meetings. Danielle, that is you.
Thank you. It's that time of year again where I feel like we're always working on budget, but we're gonna be meeting. I always am, yeah. So we're meeting with we're starting to meet with schools to talk about their 25-26 budgets. So we do have these meetings with every single school coming up, and we have follow-up alignment meetings. We call them alignment meetings. So we meet with all the principals and vice principals. They start in 2 weeks. And we make sure we use this time to go, plan for next year, plan for staffing, any ministry initiatives, talk about any capital plans or projects coming up. And so that we can get ready for the budget bylaw for June. So yeah, already full into the budget for next year already. So, and the budget bylaw must be passed in June. So this is an important step in our budget process.
Awesome. I was like looking at it, service alignment. Did I miss something? But I got it. I understand. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Great. Nothing then. There are some attachments for your review. We don't have any correspondence, no items for discussion. So that brings us to our policy motions. So we have a couple of recommendations there.
I can read that. The Board of Education approved policy 102 respectful workplace with changes as discussed.
Cynthia, second for that. Thank you, Melissa. All those in favor? And carry. This one?
Sure, I can do the next one. That the Board of Education approved policy 104 harassment and discrimination with changes as discussed.
Thank you. A second for that. Melissa, all those in favor? I think that's all. And that's carried. Next up, we have an action item. And this is brought out of our community poll meeting. And there's a recommendation.
That the Board of Education remove X from the suite. Sorry. That the Board of Education remove X from the suite of social media platforms used for school district communications.
Melissa, second for that. Cynthia. All those in favor?
Point of clarification.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was brought up earlier, there was a concern because the transportation department has been using X as one of their communication channels to alert folks about possible cancellations or other changes. And so I would just ask the board to just provide the time to work that out. They do lots of different methods. They can also get direct texts to parents as well. We get the list. So I just want to ensure the public that asked that question where it came forward earlier in the day that we just need to ensure that we still have our really clear communication for parents. So we won't move to do that like today, but I want to ensure that we've been able to mitigate any of those kinds of concerns as a communications method first. And then as soon as we have that settled, we'll move to remove. Is that?
No, like that,
Acceptable to the board?
take all the time that.
Okay,
that
thank
we
you.
need. Sure.
Appreciate that.
Okay. Anything else? So we don't have any brought. Now I can't see Dages. It's items to be brought out of camera. That brings us to bylaws. So this is what was presented earlier. Do we need to review that, or are we just going to the recommendation?
I can just say that this is for the current year's budget, the 24-25, the current year that we're in. There were some adjustments that are as a result of it, our increase in our enrollment being higher than we originally projected. And people can take a look at, there's a really good infographic attached there that shows that that basically our enrollment has been pretty stable and flat. And I just want to emphasize that although that we're getting pretty much the same, or like we're getting funding for the same amount of students, the pressure of costs is increasing. We have increased benefit costs that we're not getting funding for. We also have inflationary costs, and also increased sick leave. And we're not getting any funding for any of that stuff. So we're having to absorb that more and more every year. So I just want to point that out for the public.
And increased, also I was thinking about it, so fuel costs have gone up, and we don't receive any money for transportation.
We receive a small amount, but it doesn't nearly cover.
Yeah, and our transportation and commitments are higher because of Bill 40, I believe, right? No, I think we get some money for it then.
Yeah, I think on that note, we're fine, but like the amount we spend on transportation is significantly more than what we receive.
Yeah.
From the government. So yeah, that's a good point.
So all these pieces of, and part of the conversation we had earlier for those public who are listening as well, is that even though we see a lot of growth happening in all of our communities, we're not seeing the same numbers coming into the schools. So we're pretty flat on enrollment, or but that being said, we are in a stable position this year. We're doing okay. Anything to add? Any trustees? You do have more with that.
No, that's
it. Yeah. So there's a recommendation there.
That the Board of Education unanimously agree to waive the requirements that first, second, and third reading of school district number 48, Sea to Sky amended annual budget bylaw for the fiscal year 2024-2025 be given on different dates.
Thank you. Second for that. Thank you, Celeste. All those in favor? And carried. Who's taking that one? This one's usually not looking that way.
I can do that if you like.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Amended annual budget bylaw. A bylaw of the Board of Education of School District number 48, Sea to Sky, called the board to adopt the amended annual budget of the board for the fiscal year 2024-2025 pursuant to section 113 of the School Act, RSBC 1996, C 412, as amended from time to time, called the Act. 1. The board has complied with the provisions of the Act, ministerial orders, and Ministry of Education and Child Care policies respecting the amended annual budget adopted by this bylaw. 2. The bylaw may be cited as school district number 48, Sea to Sky amended annual budget bylaw for the fiscal year of 2024-2025. The attached statement 2, showing the estimated revenue and expenses for the 2024-2025 fiscal year and the total budget bylaw amount of $19,511,433 for the 2024-2025 fiscal year was prepared in accordance with the Act. 4. Statement 2, 4, and schedules 1 to 4 are adopted as the amended annual budget for the board of the annual budget of the board for the fiscal year 2024-2025. Read a first time, the 12th day of February 2025, read a second time, the 12th day of February 2025, read a third time, passed and adopted the 12th day of February 2025. And the recommendation reads that the Board of Education approve School District 48 Sea to Sky amended annual budget bylaw for the fiscal year 2024-2025 as presented.
One more time. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you. Yeah, second for that. Thank you, Melissa. All those in favor? And that's everyone.
Rebecca, may I?
Yeah.
Just for the benefit of the public, again, this was discussed so that people don't think that no questions were asked. This was discussed and recorded earlier in the day. So if you're interested in seeing the board questions and discussions on the budget, you can review the YouTube recording.
Thanks, Celeste. So with that, do we have any questions of clarification from the public? Did you have your hand up? Yeah. Oh, I just saw you out of the corner of my eye.
No, we do not.
No questions. Okay, well, with that then, at 7:26, we have concluded the business of this agenda and we are now adjourned. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks, Lisa.